attention. With that, I recognize the ranking member, Mr. DeLauro.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, the national security strategy says American national power depends on a strong industrial sector capable of meeting both peacetime and wartime production demands. And the national defense strategy directs DOD to, quote, supercharge the defense industrial base. DOD's 2027 budget overview appears to use that same framing. Yet, your department's budget request cuts over $5 billion from the industrial base in the aviation sector alone, effectively shutting down all current Army aviation platforms. These are current production platforms the force relies on for lift, for sustainability, disaster response, homeland missions, et cetera. How did the department arrive at the conclusion that reducing procurement for these Army aviation platforms strengthens rather than weakens the aviation industrial base?
Well, I very much appreciate that question, and I actually think it's something we're taking another look at. I think it's not that every aspect of there are some very good things in the Army Transformation Initiative, and there are some things that we've needed to get another look at. And so I think you'll see a review of some of those things, and we'll get back to you on that.
Of the aviation sector?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And with that, but was there an analysis about the impact of the requested procurement reduction? Did you all do an analysis of production line suppliers, workforce, restart risk prior to the decision to cut the funds?
We'll get that from the Army and get that to you. I don't have it in front of me, but I would imagine something was done.
Very, very much would love to see that before the subcommittee marks up the appropriations bill coming up. Let me just quickly, can you provide the committee in writing the department's assessment of the minimum sustaining production rate for the Black Hawk and Chinook industrial base, the supplier-based risks associated with this budget request, and the funded mitigation plan if production falls below those levels? Can you provide us with that information? I think that's critically important.
I think we should get that to you, and I think those platforms are critical to the force right now, and we need to make sure we're able to sustain them.
Yeah, I think you made the point, you all have that industrial base readiness is a strategic issue. It's what the national security strategy recognizes, and I look forward to hearing more about how cutting the $1 billion in the base investment aligns with that shared goal. Let me just, a question to you, General Kane. Despite the precipitous drop in procurement for Army aviation platforms, your budget request invests heavily in modernization. I'm a believer in modernization. I think that's necessary. I support investing in future capability, but Congress also has to understand the transition risk. The department is asking us to accept reduced procurement of aircraft the force uses today while relying on future systems that are not yet fielded. And General, from a joint force readiness perspective, what is the department's plan to avoid a mobility lift sustainment gap if current aviation capacity declines faster than replacement capability arrives? What are the decision points where the department would revisit the reductions if future vertical lift schedules slip, if costs rise, or operational demand remains higher than expected?
Well, Ranking Member, I appreciate the question. And any time we're looking at military options to our political leaders, we do bake in and can carefully consider that transitional risk because it links back to risk to force, our military forces, and risk to missions. And as we look forward over the life cycle of this budget and beyond into the FYDP, we're always looking at the evolution of those operational plans and then the decision points along the way to make sure that we can match the combat capability and capacity required to achieve the desired effects that are baked within those operational plans across the COCOMs. And I commend the Army, who's looking closely at the two platforms that you're most interested through your line of questioning, and the work that Undersecretary Obadal has been doing to look at rotary wing lift requirements as we move to the future. But in the end, we have to have mobility on the battlefield. It has to be survivable. in the conflicts and engagements that we'll have. And so we remain very closely focused on those requirements, ma'am.
Well, I appreciate that, and my only concern is not whether modernization is important, but I understand with some of those efforts that we are looking for a future date is next year, the year after, so forth, because it's not been fielded. But what we need to take a look at, and I think you understand this, is whether the department is managing this transition in a responsible way. In my view, what we cannot afford to do is to create a near-term aviation gap. We weaken the supplier base and then ask the Congress to come back and rebuild that capability and that capacity at a greater cost. Because when you destroy the infrastructure, it's very, very difficult to bring that back and the skilled workforce that it.
The way she asked those questions to Pete Hegseth, which obviously Pete Hegseth was not able to answer, it shows that she doesn't have any trust on him. And Pete Hegseth came to this hearing without much of a preparation. If you take a look at his body posture, body language, I mean, he was just chilling, hands are like tied, closed. He was not expecting tough questions, as he believes that he should not be asked tough questions. That's what I think he was expecting from this early session of this hearing. Subscribe for more videos, guys. See you in the next one.